Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second episode of the Dudecast, the podcast brought to you by the Patch Dudes. My name is Or. I am the co-founder of Patch Dudes, along with my better and smarter half, Mika. And this to my right is my co-host, Philip the Office Plant, who turned out to be the big star of the podcast. He is wise beyond his years and is a great addition to all of us and all of you guys watching this podcast. So, without further ado, thank you for being here. I know the last episode was cringy at times. I hope you guys kind of got a general sense of who I am, what Patch Dudes is, what it became, what it became, and kind of what we're trying to do. Like I said, we are on a journey to creating the biggest and baddest residential drywall company in Canada. Along the way, we're really hoping to try to do our part to elevate the industry, cut out the hack jobs, and make sure everybody is better educated about running a business in the trade industry so everybody can benefit and improve their operations. In results, all of the potential clients will benefit, the industry will be elevated. So without further ado, let's get into it. This episode is going to be just kind of like a spitballing. We're going to keep it pretty raw. But essentially what I wanted to do is give you guys 3 things that I wish I knew before starting my business. As we go, my lovely editor, Mika, will throw up these things on my left, your right. I think I got that right. But let's jump into it. So when you're starting a business, there's so many things that are unknown. You don't know what you don't know. If you watched the last episode, I've been in business since I was about 14, 15. The details are a bit hazy. And I've pretty much made every single mistake possible to make as an entrepreneur. I've had 2 businesses that went completely kaput and I lost everything I had at the time. I've fallen victim to Nigerian online print scams. I've lost more money than I care to admit. My dad thought I was a complete idiot at one point when I lost 10 grand that he loaned me to start a business. Thankfully, the next business worked and I paid him back. But what I'm trying to say is that every entrepreneur makes a ton of businesses, and along the way you learn a lot. I've learned probably countless lessons, and I'll probably think of more while I do this podcast. But there are 3 that kind of jump at me right away. The third one is probably my favorite advice that I wish I got back when we started even this business. So stick tuned to the third advice. But let's start with the first one. Pretty much the first thing that I wish I knew when I started my business, or when I started in the dream to be an entrepreneur, is not really a thing to know, but it's a question. It's, what are you trying to achieve? What is your goal? And I'll fill you in with a little secret. Your goal will change as you keep growing. My goal when I was in high school was to be a billionaire that can have a Ferrari and impress all the ladies. My goal when I finished university was to be a millionaire before 30 so I can show off to all of my co-workers and whatnot. My goal when I started this business was to create an empire that's bigger than myself. To be able to give good, hard-working people the opportunity to professionally advance their careers, their lives, provide for their loved ones, and while we're doing it, have a great time and make some profits. The P word is not something to be ashamed of. So really, the first thing that I wish I asked myself when I started a business is, what am I trying to achieve? What is my why? If money is your sole motivator, it's not a good enough motivator. It's good when you don't have any. It's it's the only thing you can think about. It's like, oh my God, how do I make more money? Money is my motivation. Money will fix everything. Not that I'm very rich or making a ton of money, but when you're starting to see a little bit of money in business, you quickly realize that money is a tool. It's a tool to allow you to get to your goals. For me, I'll share, this is a little bit personal, but my why or my motivation is freedom. I've learned that a lot about myself in the process of being an entrepreneur, and I learned that I'm always seeking freedom. By freedom, I'm not only talking about financial freedom. I'm not only talking about being able to do what I want to do with who I want to do when I want to do, which is a great cliche and a great saying. But I define freedom as the ability to wake up every morning and conquer the world on my terms. That means that I wake up every morning not troubled with problems in the business or financial problems. That's all can be solved. I'm excited when I wake up because I know my why is to go out there and I get the privilege to build something with my hands, with my brain, with the people that support me and work so hard to help me achieve my vision and them to achieve theirs. Touching on that, when you are trying to figure out your why or your big vision, your big dream, I encourage you to think big. You know, not everybody needs to create an empire. Some people are very okay with a lifestyle business, but you have to understand, especially if you're trying to build something with workers and, start and delegate as a business owner, your dream needs to be big enough to fit everybody else's dreams inside of it. Anything less, you're doing a disservice to the people that are going to be supporting you along the way. You're just going to be giving them a job instead of a career and an opportunity to improve. So really think, what is your why? What is your big goal? And really, are you trying to build an empire? I mean, I've said it very publicly. I want to build an empire. I want to build a drywall empire. I want to be in every city in Canada in the next 10 years. It's a big goal. But a lifestyle business, it doesn't excite me. It bores me. Not to say that's anything wrong. I'll give you an example. Recently, I've had the pleasure of sitting in on a business coaching session for a business owner friend of mine. Their coach was in town, and I sat in on their deep dive into the business. And throughout the day, I was giving him advice and, you should do this and you should do that. And it was only when we finished the session, we went to dinner, and I asked him, hey, man, what are you trying to build? Are you trying to build a big empire across multiple states and tens of hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue? Or are you trying to just build a lifestyle business that will give you the lifestyle that you would like without worrying too much about income? And then he said, yeah, I'm looking for a lifestyle business. I'm not interested in a huge business. I just want something that can be comfortable for myself and, somewhere I can make good money for myself, for my wife, and for my future kids. And at that point, I realized, all the advices I've given my friend throughout the day, which I thought was great advice, and I'm sure he thought it was good advice, it was all irrelevant because I was operating with my big why, which was to build an empire. So I was giving him advice on what he should do to build an empire without asking him what his goals are. So thing number one to know before starting a business, or wish I knew, is know your why, know your dream, and why you're doing this. Everything else needs to be helping to push that goal. And if you're doing anything throughout your day that's not helping you reach that goal, it's just a distraction. So the second thing I wish I knew before I started my business, and this is something that almost everybody that I know overlooks, figure out your target demographic, your target consumer. What I mean by that, it's fantastic. Let's say you have the best product for surfing in the world. You invented an amazing board, and it's God's gift to humanity if you're a surfer. That is fantastic, but what if you're living in in a landlocked area when there is not a market for surfers? Sure, there might be the one or two, but does the market even exist? Is there a target demographic that you can target for that? What I really wish I knew when I started my first business, my painting business, is what we did when we did our Patch Dudes business. We set out and clearly defined everything about our potential targeted client. What they look like, what they talk like, what they buy at the grocery store, where do they buy groceries, what kind of cars they drive, what's their income level, what are their hobbies. Where do they do their research for trades? Are they do-it-yourselfers, or do they actually spend money? Do they value money over time? All of those questions are super, super, super important to do before you're starting your business, to avoid getting into a situation where you have a great business, you invested time, effort, and money into setting up, and there's no demand for it. If there's no market, you're going to have to either work really, 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 really hard to create a market and educate a marketplace, or you're going to drown because nobody wants to buy your product or your service. So figure out what your demographics are. There's a lot of ways to do that don't cost a ton of money. If you don't have a ton of startup capital, there's a lot of boots on the ground strategies that you can go about doing it. That is more or less what Mika and I did when we were planning Patch Dudes. When the idea came about, we started by talking to friends and families. We're asking them, hey, is this a service that you would pay for? Do you see yourself using that service? A few said yes, a few said no. And then we dug deeper. If you would use this service, how much would you pay for this? Would you try to do it yourself first? Questions like that. That was friends, that was family. And then we invested about $1,000 into SurveyMonkey, I believe it's called. There's many of those. It's online surveys. They have lots of people, different demographics that you can blast your surveys out. We had a sample size of about 500 people that answered our survey, and gave us the information that we needed. And that information, even though, listen, in the grand scheme of things, 500 people is a drop in the bucket. It's nothing. It's not enough for sure, but it gave us a decent idea. To that, we added a 10 to 15% margin of error, and we knew more or less who our target demographic are, who's going to be using our service, and who would try to do it themselves. Who would be willing to pay $400 for a repair? Who would be willing to pay $20 for a repair? So using that, by knowing our target client, everything kind of fell into place. We were able to reverse engineer how much we should be spending on marketing, where we should be doing marketing, how do our target demographic prefer to be sold to. Maybe they don't want to be sold and they want to self-purchase online like Amazon. All those questions, we were able to reverse engineer our marketing plan, our sales plan, our pricing, our production, customer journey and experience, all of that based on the one question is, who is your target demographic? Do yourself a favor when you're starting a business, figure out who your target demographic are. Quick coffee break. Brought to you by our sponsors, Patch Dudes, who sponsored this incredible production. And now let's get into the meat and potatoes. This is going to be controversial. This is going to be probably, I don't know if it's going to be well landed in the trade industry community. And you know what? I think I need to put my serious hat back on, turn it back forward, because we're talking business. The number one thing I wish someone told me 4 years ago when I started a trade business is, do not start a business in which you are the best tradesperson or best craftsman in. And I'll take that even further and I'll say, do not start a business that you know how to do the trade in. Let me explain. That is probably ass backwards in the minds of 99% of trades business owners. But what I mean by that is very simple. In business, the actual doing of the work might seem in the beginning like the most important step, most important job or aspect of the business. It really is not. It's probably the most systematic thing you can teach, especially if you are in a niche industry. Using SOPs and training manuals and videos, you can train anyone to do anything, and with enough time and training, everybody can pick up a trade. Now, when you're starting a business that you know how to do the trade really, really well, for example, I was a painter for about 10 years, so I started a painting company, and I said, if anything goes wrong, I can always just jump on the tools and paint. And that is exactly why I don't want you guys to start a business that you know how to do the trade. Because when shit hits the fan, and shit will hit the fan often, especially in the beginning of your business, your gut reaction is to become a firefighter and to be the hero complex that so many of us business owners have inside of us. You're going to drop everything, get on the tools, and go paint that house by yourself. I've done that multiple times. Every time there is a fuck up, excuse my French, I would drop everything that I was doing, whether it was sales appointments, whether it was financial meetings or financial analysis, or planning my business, or going door to door to businesses to develop my B2B division. I would drop everything because it's not as important as giving my client the amazing experience they deserve. And do not get me wrong, giving the client the most incredible experience is your number one priority. Your client should not suffer because your subtrade didn't get to the job site on time. That should not be an excuse to delay your client's project. But when you are dropping everything as a business owner to start doing the work yourself because you know how to, you are sacrificing everything else that it takes to achieve your big goal, your big why, which was point number one. Do not sacrifice that to do the job yourself. That is why if I had to do it again, I would start a business where either you need a license to do it, which I don't have a license, or something that is tricky to pick up and learn, and I would not try to learn. I would hire the best tradesperson I can. I would pay them what they deserve, give them the opportunity to advance, and I would build with them the production system that will allow my clients to get the best damn experience without me picking up a brush, a drywall knife, a screwdriver, or whatever the hell it is. That way, me as a business person, the business owner, in the early stages of the business can focus on all the other time-sucking things and aspects of the business that you will have to do that typically get sacrificed because the person that's supposed to doing them is the best damn tradesperson on their team. Whew, sorry, I got heated there. But when you're dropping everything and playing firefighter and you're savior and saving the day, you're sacrificing. How many times have you canceled a sales appointment because your guy needed help to finish a project? How many times have you delayed maintaining your fleet or your truck because you had to get to a job site? How many times have you missed your kid's soccer practice or basketball tournament because you had to be on site? Pick a trade that you know nothing about. Become a nerd. Become obsessive about learning everything about it, but how to do the trade. So you can confidently have conversations about it. So you can know how to estimate. You can learn how to know keep track of your KPIs, your numbers, and do everything else that a business demands that you do as a business owner, and not do the work in the field. I'll give you an example. So I definitely have a savior complex. I want to save the day. I want to be in the field. I was a field person. I love being in the field. I love being with the guys, shooting the shit, being a part of the inside jokes of the crews. But at a certain point, the business just told me, every time you're in the field, we suffer. My sales team told me that. My admin team told me that. And it got to a point that, knowing myself, the only thing I could do to make sure that I don't drag my ass to the field at every excuse I can is to literally give my personal truck away to one of our crews, and that way I don't have a wait to get to the site, to a point that I had to walk from my condo to my office just because I didn't have a vehicle, and I knew if I got a truck I will go back to the field. And until I built that discipline that my ass needs to be in the office or doing sales or working on the business and not doing the trade that we're doing, the business didn't grow. So I know that is extreme, but that is the number one thing that I wish I knew back in the day when I started in business. I wish I would have tried to not learn the trade to become I had this obsession to become the best painter or the best drywaller. And when I realized that I'm not neither one of those, that's when our business really took off. And when I was able to give my guys that were so much better than me the reins to make sure our customers get treated fairly and in the best way possible, that's when we took off. So those are 3 things that I wish I knew ahead of time. I'll summarize them. Number 1, what are you trying to achieve? Your big goal, your big motivation. I can't English today. Number 2, figure out who is your target demographic, target client, and reverse engineer everything to target them. Number 3, do not start a business in which you are the best tradesperson on your team, or better yet, don't start a business. Start a business in a trade that you know nothing about. That was my time. Hopefully you guys learned something. I know the first one was a bit cringy. Hopefully this one was a bit better. On the next episode, we're going to be interviewing one of my early mentors. I won't reveal his identity just yet, but he owns a killer painting company in core downtown Toronto. Super fun guy and way better looking than me. So hopefully you guys tune in. It will be a fun one. We'll bounce back and forth about everything we learned about business over the last 14 years and whatnot. So if you haven't done so already, click the subscribe button. It will help us get some more exposure, and the more exposure that we get, the better guests that we can get for you on this podcast, the more we can invest in making this bigger. So yeah, give us a thumbs up, leave your comments down below, and if you are in the greater Toronto area, you need drywall repaired, drywall installed and taped, popcorn ceiling removed, or some painting done, give us a ring-a-ding-ding, and we'll be in touch. Until then, I've been Or Segev. This is Philip the Office Plant, signing off. Enjoy your weekend, everyone.